Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Frenchitivity Podcast. Kent and Michelle French with you. Yes, we promise we are going to Thailand eventually, but we're going to pause for a moment, Michelle, because we have been reflecting. We've been reflecting over the last couple of weeks because we want to understand exactly what Frenchitivity is. And it's not just about travel. It's more than that. It's about family fulfillment.
Yeah, we realized as we first started Frenchitivity Podcast and Frenchitivity in general that we were talking with travel families, like-minded families, and the goal was finding some commonality. And so as we continue on, we want to highlight the commonality, and we believe it's intentionality.
Yeah, travel is the lens, travel's the classroom, but we're going to look back now at our first four locations on our trip around the world and kind of go through them through this different lens of family fulfillment and intentionality. So we hope you enjoy this podcast, and we hope this conversation inspires you.
Kent, Michelle, and Everly spreading Frenchitivity all over the world. This entire family creating possibilities all over the world. Frenchitivity, all over the world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Frenchitivity Podcast. Kent, Michelle French back with you. And I say back because it's been a couple weeks since we've jumped on our podcast platform. We've been reflecting, Michelle. We've been looking back, as we do each and every day, though, when it comes to this trip that we took and that we're now returned from. We certainly reflect every day about how it's changed us. And I think what we wanted to do here with this podcast is take a little pause in our recap of every single destination that we went to and maybe look back on the first four spots that we stopped at and kind of understand not just where we went, but how these places truly affected us. So this is more of a family fulfillment episode, if you will, as opposed to a travel podcast. Would you agree?
I would agree. And I think to give some context to it all is that when we started the podcast originally and continuing, we were speaking with other people who had made a dream come true. So the original intent around the podcast was to talk to people who we found inspirational, mainly in the trend of travel family, which still remains true. And the question we were asking at the time, because we started before we were traveling and then we were coinciding and traveling.
Right.
But the question we were wondering is is there a through thread? Is there a commonality amongst these people who have said they want to do something and then they do it? What's the drive? What's the motivation? What's the tipping point? What's the, I can't do the other thing anymore point? What is it? And so in exploring that through thread, we were really focusing on other people. And then we sort of wanted to emulate that in traveling the world. So then we decide we're going to take our family on a world journey. And people started saying, well, we kind of want to hear from you. What did you experience? What was it like for you? So we're like, oh, well, thank you. That's awesome. You want to hear from us. And so we did spend the last four podcasts speaking about our experiences. We did have a reflection podcast where we sort of thought back about the whole thing. But then we started really speaking to here's what we did and here's the activities. And that's all still very cool and relevant. And we want to keep doing that. But at the same time, we started realizing, we're starting to see the through thread.
Right.
And it's pointing to intentionality. And what has that done for our family to live more intentionally, to make these decisions very intentionally? And then we started looking back at other podcasts and we're that's what everyone is saying. They just made this choice about being more intentional. So we want to explore that a little. And we realized we want to take a pause before we continue to the next travel destination because it makes sense to us to sort of reframe how we're talking about this, what we have realized, and how we want to move this forward.
Yeah, and I think when we establish Frenchitivity, and it's evolving, by the way, when you establish a family brand and when you jump off this proverbial cliff without a net and do something completely out of the ordinary for us, not necessarily for some of the other families that we have talked to, but certainly we found that there is maybe a small percentage of a community that you're in to do something of this extreme nature. But once you're in this small community, it is rather large, if that makes sense. And then we use travel and we've kind of done a little research. Travel was our classroom, was the lens that we are looking through to find this family fulfillment and find this intention that you're speaking of. So I agree. I think you, with such a strong background of travel, it's hard not to look at us and say, or hard for us not to look at it and say, look at where we went, look at what we did, look how much fun we had. You should do the same. Yes, you should,
We should.
but travel doesn't need to be the thing
Right.
that brings family together. And so I agree with what you're saying. It has been certainly complimentary of other people going, we want to hear more from you. And we enjoy talking to one another. As you can see, we have fun with this. But it's a matter of trying to be intentional, and we are learning and evolving as this podcast goes and this process goes as well. And also, I think that now is a good time for us to kind of reflect back on the definition of Frenchitivity, right? What is this family brand that we have created and that we are building with our now 9-year-old daughter, Everly? It is to spend a vehicle to help other people and help us, because we're learning as we go, spend more time with one another, be more intentional with the way we spend time with each other, and live our lives differently each and every day, kind of with this newfound blueprint that we don't have, but we're writing, and we're writing it as we go.
Yes, agree. Well said. And I think that one of the things we also were saying a lot continuously in the beginning and even now is like Frenchitivity is also about, I mean, we have our 3 pillars, and it's about also exploring like maybe changing an expectation, or how I've said it in the past is like a paradigm around how a family looks and how we operate as partners, and just sort of bringing more light to how that could look and feel different than maybe traditional ways or expectations, or like, where did those expectations even come from? And sort of exploring this conversation around how life can be more now, as we've been able to say, like intentional, creative, and with the lens of possibility. And so now how we execute that, like it was this question before, and now what we're realizing is like, well, we're living it every day, and here's how, what that actually looks like. And travel happened to be a way that pulled a lot of that out for us to see it much more clearly. So how do we now encourage that everything doesn't have to look a certain way, that we create our own, and that therefore it will look different for everyone? So Frenchitivity still asks these questions and approaches with curiosity. How do we live more intentionally? How do we change some of the paradigm? And then also, it is about travel, possibility, creativity, tranquility, with this exploration and curiosity.
Yeah, and if you're just joining us, welcome, by the way. And if you're wondering how in the world did they get this name of Frenchitivity, well, our last name is French, and we kind of explored what would represent us and what we set out to do on our journey. And then, as Michelle just referenced, 3 pillars: creativity, possibility, and tranquility. And so Frenchitivity, it's obviously a word we created, but it does represent all those things and much more. Also, as we go through this process with all of you and you listening to this podcast, we are asking questions. Do you feel this? Do you feel like you need more in your lives? Or do you sense that there is something missing? However you want to phrase the question. And because those are questions we kind of asked ourselves before we went on this. And mind you, there's going to be a lot of people out there who go, no, I'm good. And that's awesome. Like, we want to get there. We want to be like you. But then there's another side of that coin where you get so involved in your day to day that you have this, for us, kind of a false set of fulfillment. That we think everything's great, and we're moving so quickly through our days, with Michelle running her own business at the time, and me being in broadcasting and traveling and working for 2 different professional sports teams. Everything kind of looks good, and you're living your best life when it comes to your career. We work so hard to get to these stages, and this is what we signed up for. We signed up for this kind of workload, and we're both A-type personalities, so it was like fit into our personality perfectly. But then you're like, well, wait a second. We're not really spending enough time with each other, and we're losing sight of connection with us as a married couple, us as a family, with our child, and things all of a sudden started to kind of, I don't want to say maybe weakening a little bit, and we just didn't notice it. Maybe you're in this boat and things are going great and you didn't notice that there's a little bit of a leak over here, and you gotta kind of fix that. Well, all of a sudden we were taking on more water than we thought, so we needed to make a change. And that was kind of a quick little reflection on kind of why we did what we did.
Well, and I think you said that really well. And I'm glad you said it when you said it, because the invitation to anyone listening,
Right.
otherwise we're sort of like, what are they even talking about? Like, what is this Frenchitivity? Because we do have this desire to talk to other people and inspire people. But that invitation, as you just described it, is really what this is now becoming for us, is like, do you sense any of that? And we've said this before too, the selfish part is we would enjoy having community and conversation around this, of how is it that sometimes we form these on paper really idealistic lives which
Yeah.
are quite lovely in so many ways, and yet be able to have the conversation of like, something is missing or something isn't totally complete. And there that comes in like this more fulfillment side. And we know that comes from within. No one can solve that for anyone. But to be able to at least recognize there are ways, daily things, certain things that can be integrated into your life that keep your presence, that keep you alive, that keep that spark, that keep things in a way that your life doesn't just sort of pass you by. So
Yeah.
I think the invitation of like, why would you even continue listening to us right now? I mean, we do still want to talk to really amazing travel families and cool, inspiring people who have made their dreams come true. And we are here to serve as inspiration of bringing those stories, and also to share our journey and reflect and invite anyone who was in that same similar spot as us. And maybe it isn't travel for everyone. Maybe it's something that is just diving back into something that you're passionate about that you sort of lost sight of. And we're here to kind of be reminders of what you want to keep your sights on.
And it's finding the courage to ask those questions too. Like, as we're saying, things look great, but then is there more? Could there be more? Is there something I'm missing? Is what does that look like? And to be able to have those conversations. And I will say one other thing. I know you want to say something, but it's these self-induced roadblocks that we've talked about in the past. You know, Michelle's like, what do you think about doing this and traveling the world? I'm like, it sounds great. How about next year? Like, I'm too busy. I have too many things going on. I don't want to step away from this career that I've built over the last 25 years. So those are certain things that we have had to find the courage and the wherewithal to say, let me think about this a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I was just going to add, like, to answer the call of giving yourself the permission, being okay to ask the questions, because there's sometimes, like you said, you're asking the question and you're like, I am good. I'm like, let's be good. Like, that's amazing. Like, we're going for that. And we also have certainly found that we use this phrase a lot. Now, there's no there. Like, where are you going? Like, getting good right here, right now makes all the other stuff better. So it's sort of this like inside job that then shows up in the external, and experiencing that and being able to try to articulate that of, like you said, if you're good, you're good, and that's amazing, and maybe we can inspire you in other ways. But if you have a bit of curiosity around, what does that mean in any given moment, to be as curious as I can so that I'm acting in a way that then allows the external world to show up in a way that helps me be good again. Like, it's kind of this circular thing.
It is. And I think you said that really well as far as giving yourself permission. That's a huge thing. And I think that's something that a lot of people probably would relate to in several different areas. But giving yourself permission to feel sad, to have anxiety, to be happy. Giving yourself permission to be happy is a whole nother conversation. So giving yourself permission to ask these questions that could change a lot, and be ready for it, for the best, but not without challenges, what certainly we are experiencing as we've come home. We are experiencing a lot of challenge. We knew it was going to be hard when we came home. We just did not know what hard looked like. So that is something that we're digesting as we go. So
that's why you need some support when you're willing to ask the questions, because the answers as they unfold sometimes come slower or in ways you didn't expect. And so being able to be in a place where you still feel held while asking the question.
Right.
So what is Frenchitivity? That was our long answer.
Frenchitivity is a through thread to help families find more fulfillment and intentionality. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Intentionality
Intentionality. I like
in
that
their
word.
lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of, sort of. I think we're onto something.
I think we're onto
And that's
something.
what we've been.
Yeah.
We've spent many an hour talking to each other and really kind of refining what has just happened and what
Right.
is going to happen.
Yeah. And knitting together the fact that we were still inspired by others doing something different. We could just sense there was something else available to us because some people were doing it. And so now encompassing that in and knitting together, like we still want to talk to these amazing people and reflect on our experience as it may parallel or be different than theirs, and also open this invitation for this curiosity. So it has some layers. And yeah, we're open to explore how we can all just hold each other in a place that feels comfortable to be curious.
Yes, and I think at the end of the day, too, we've always wanted to do this. We just didn't know how to verbalize it, but we want to create content and information that will help other families follow this path if they so do desire.
Yeah, and what we're discovering is there's lots of ways to do that.
Correct.
There's lots of ways to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And kind of what resonates with you and what creates this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So that all being said, we wanted to kind of reset on how we've reset over the last few weeks on kind of what we are doing and who we are and who we've become, we are becoming, where we were, where we are, and where we're going. So we thought it'd be a good opportunity to kind of re-look back at the first 4 countries that we paid a visit to. And we went through it more through a travel family lens the first time through, kind of giving you an itinerary. Michelle's done a tremendous job putting those into a PDF format so you can kind of see what we where and how we stayed at different places, and maybe how you could follow that itinerary or take pieces from it if you so desire, if they resonated with you. But now we want to look back at the first 4 spots through this intentional living family fulfillment lens. Yeah.
Well, you said it before too, like we're both type A. So I always want there to be like practical and reference-based things. So the PDFs are awesome. If yes, you want to go to Portugal and you're just kind of curious where we went and how we did it and how we booked things, like those guides are there for you. And it was fun to make them. And it's just a joy to revisit the trip in that way. And then there will always be practical things that we can provide because of what we did and how we were able to do some of it. So practical, yes. And then also, like we said, there's this inside job and there's this sort of, I don't know, it's not as black and white or practical. It's a little more just like esoteric. I don't know. It doesn't really, like, I can't put this in a PDF for it. Well, maybe I can, but we did do everything within sort of like now we've realized a framework of how things can come together. And this, is a moment to sort of look back and be like, why were we able to keep going? Why were we able to do that? Why do we have some of these realizations now? And it's because of what each of these countries really taught us and showed us.
Yeah. And what did we learn from one country that helped us open our eyes or do something different in the next?
Yeah.
So that all being said, I think Portugal was our jumping off point. Once again, we always say this with the disclaimer. It was New York and the Statue of Liberty.
Oh, yes. Always first.
That was our jumping off point because Everly said, if I'm going to go on this trip with you, we are starting here. And we said, absolutely. So we did that and loved it. By the way, we had neither of us, as many times we've been to New York, we've never been to the Statue of Liberty. So it was a great jumping off point for us to.
And we've now recommended that to so many people who have done it. We have at least 4 families that were going to New York that were not going to go to the Statue of Liberty because we all just sort of make this assumption. I don't know. And we said, we really think you should go. And they all have, and they all
Yeah.
absolutely love it. So yeah, I do feel like then that's where I'm like, oh, some of the practical stuff is good because we should tell you to do some things.
Exactly.
Anyway,
So,
Portugal.
so Portugal.
It's not about
So
New
we
York.
started in Portugal, and I mean, from a geographical standpoint, it made sense because we were starting our journey through Europe, and that was kind of one of the first places you run into as you fly from New York. We're like, Portugal sounds great, but many other reasons as well. Like it was recommended by over a handful of people to us. I mean, maybe over 10 people. Everyone said, we love Portugal. Why? Well, the climate's similar to what you see in California, and the culture's fantastic. It's just got so many different things for you to experience. And our intention was to stay a month or so, give or take, in each country that we paid a visit to. So, yeah, so we got to Portugal and we stayed outside of Lisbon. Where did we stay again? In Odivalas?
Mm-hmm.
In an Airbnb for a month. And I will tell you this, it was a lot of anxiety for me. No, but on many different levels, because now
acknowledgement.
we have left our jobs. We have rented out our house. We are now overseas, living in this Airbnb in a town outside of Lisbon. So we're now more of in a neighborhood where certainly English is definitely not spoken at all, and felt very, I don't know. I wasn't working and I had stepped away. I was still processing that. B is Frenchitivity. What was this going to be? And how are we going to film and interview people and create content? I've never really done that on a consistent basis in a foreign country.
No, you hadn't done that before?
Yeah.
I wish I would have known that.
So, wow. What a jumping off point that was.
Yes, absolutely. I think a couple things I'll say about Portugal is like how you just described it, that there were a lot of like reasons we went to Portugal that sort of logistically made sense and we had heard. But when we listened back and reflected back on certain things, I have said more than once, Portugal picked us. Like it was we just decided like it's Portugal, but we don't really know where that came from. Like if I'm being really honest, yes, it's a great gateway into Europe for sure. But like, it was like, yes, let's just
And
go
there was
there.
no question, by the way. We said Portugal. Okay, good, great.
There was no question. We'll just start in Portugal. And
Yeah.
it's called to us. We just decided. And so I feel like that always, even what you're talking about with some unknowingness, there was still something about it that was right. Like it was just the right step. And there has to be a first place. And we now know from other travel families that the first place often has all of this emotion tied up in it of like, what are we doing? But yes, we've got it. And of course, this is what we're doing, but we don't know what we're doing. And like, it's getting comfortable with the discomfort. Portugal was like, this is going to be uncomfortable and welcome.
Yeah. And it was a funny feeling too, because when we got there, you still want to, you're thinking, okay, we're in a different country. We got to go see all these different places. And part of me is like, I just kind of want to sit on the balcony and just chill out for a minute and understand what are we doing? What just happened?
So there's this thing that I'm still sort of exploring as well. This is what happens in this as well. Like all these concepts or ideas, things again with the paradigm to explore come up. So how I also sometimes describe Portugal is that there was still a pull from me. I could see it in you, pull back to not that we'd come home, like, oh, let's go home. Not that. That's not what I mean. A pull to, I know how to go into an office and do a thing, or I know how to do my previous career. Like I know what is expected of me. I know what I need to do. I know the steps. And this was like so unknown. So I kept describing it at the time to you in my journal. I was like, there's this pull and it's back to the familiar. It's this pull back to what we know, but I don't want it. I'm full speed ahead this way, but like I couldn't describe it. It's really weird. And then I recently heard someone talk about something called the drift. And I'm like, what's the drift? So Napoleon Hill in his book so long ago wrote about the drift. And it's that same idea of like staying comfortable, not entering the discomfort. And it's what keeps us safe. There is nothing wrong with any of this. It's just that like, it is a real, so I'm having this like human sensation where I'm like, what is this pull? This is so weird. And sort of like, what's wrong with me? I'm here doing this new thing. Why am I wanting something that I didn't even, why am I picturing it in a way that how it wasn't even playing out? So anyway, this is like a really cool thing that I took on to explore. Like, I am becoming different. And how will I work around this pull? And then I'm like, wait, other humans have experienced this. This is like a thing. Like, okay, we can work with this. Like, and just completely dismantling pretty much how I expected anything to be.
Did you know about this book before we went over?
Well, I know about Napoleon Hill, but no, I didn't know about The Drift.
Oh,
no.
So I was going to say, you should have given me The Drift on the flight over so I could have read it.
I don't know. I didn't know.
It sounds like a book that wouldn't hurt. I don't read books.
I know.
Maybe they have an audio book.
Think and Grow Rich is probably most famous. But anyway, yeah, so we can do a book club and we can talk about some books and some things.
No such thing as book clubs or wine clubs, FYI.
But it's just interesting to me that at the time that didn't come to me and I didn't know, but like I was experiencing this and now maybe there's like words. So I guess what I'm saying in this too is that I offer that, like, again, once we are able to get curious, we're willing to say certain things. Other people are like, yeah, me too. And like, okay, cool. Like, what can we do with that?
Yeah.
So a lot of this entire trip was sort of coming face to face with who we are, who we were, and being able to release aspects of that slowly, one piece at a time.
Yeah, and it right. And in a perfect world, that would be fantastic. But the way we did it, and sometimes the way people need to do it, is you need to rip the Band-Aid off. We didn't do it in a sense where we were just slowly letting go of certain things in our lives. And I will say this. I had worked for a professional hockey team for over 20 years. So as we are in Portugal, the season's starting, and like I have not been part of a season in over 20 years. And it's like, this is going on and I am no longer part of it. And it was hard. It was hard. It was separation anxiety, however you want to think about it. And, a position that took me so long to get to, I stepped away from, and it's like, you're really letting go of a lot of things. Yeah. And so it was a very difficult time. And then we find ourselves in a country that, rightfully so, has such pride in who they are and what they are. And unbeknownst to us, we found out later that certainly a lot of Americans are moving over to Portugal, and there wasn't a sense that people were kind of going, are you moving? We're in a neighborhood, so we go to a store and we'd be there, show up 2, 3, 4 days in a row at the store and like, are you guys moving here? Like, there was definitely a perception, and we felt it, and we definitely didn't know the language. We tried to learn some of the, hello, thank you, some of the necessary, words that would help us with some sort of conversation and communication, but felt very alone as well in that community. And that was tough as well. And we were in this neighborhood intentionally to immerse ourselves in a culture, but felt it was very difficult for me initially to immerse, if you will.
Well, again, we go back to this Frenchitivity concept where we're just going to interview people, and that's who we are and what we do, and we storytell, and this is how it's going to be. And then we're like, well, we don't speak the language. Shame on us for that part. And so it was also, there was some expectation. And so we had to come face to face with like, how are we going to navigate this with like Newland? So I feel that obviously the lessons in all of that run so deep of like, kind of unwinding who we were to become who we were becoming. And then coming face to face with a lot of that, of what gave us like security and confidence and things here that then were not available there. And so then that was a bit on purpose, that like, okay, so when you don't have that to rely on, to fall back on, who are you really? Who are you?
Right.
Who are you? And I think that there's many stories that then begin to unfold even in Portugal where we're like, you start to crack the code just a little bit. And one of those for us is the metro.
Yes.
And so listening back on our old podcast, we like reflect on, okay, we figure out the metro and then now we can get into town much more easily. And like every day things sort of unlocked in a different way. But you look back on that and you're like, oh yeah, the metro was about learning the metro.
Yeah.
But what did that give you? Confidence that you figured out something new, ability to travel
Freedom.
more widely, freedom. It's like, so yeah, some things seem simple, obvious, like what you need to do in travel, but they unlock a whole nother level of like what really is possible. We learned exactly where the local market was. How, we walked there. We knew what we needed there. Like just many things that started building confidence in these slow ways while still processing the changes, being disconnected from the season for the moment, all the things that were also happening. But I think that within it, Portugal also sort of just showed us, if you're willing to go, we'll meet you halfway.
It did, and I think that's a great way to put it. Portugal did meet us halfway, and from a people perspective, it was a little more difficult trying to crack the code because you have a business card, you're handing it out, and like, oh, DM me, I'll DM you. It's like, what are we doing? Like some guy from America coming over wanting to talk to you, and as all of you probably know, it's like, oh my gosh, like there's a large amount of trust involved in interviewing and talking to somebody,
so much trust.
and because you can manipulate video and audio, as we all know, in so many different ways. So it's trusting that we're gonna put you in the best position possible to be your authentic self, and like, oh my gosh. So for Portugal too, I will kind of end my Portugal with this, is that when it comes to the relationship standpoint and the people standpoint, we set up one interview on this entire trip. Saw an article in Orange County, California, about a surf church in Portugal. Samuel was the head pastor. And so I somehow found his Instagram and DM'd him, and he opened his arms and he was wonderful, got back to me right away. We set up an interview. We go down to Porto. When we were in Porto, he met us for coffee. He sat with us for an hour. We talked to him, did a full interview with him. He invited us to just go surf. How they do it on Sundays, you go surf first, and then you go to his church right afterwards, literally in board shorts, and you're full of sand and everything and whatever it is, right?
Great.
So we went there. We met him down there. He had wetsuits for us. We surfed with him and his church. He gave us boards. We took boards back held a board on top of our rental car,
tiny car,
and we took it to the church, and he embraced us.
Yeah.
We met everyone there. It really was probably the first time we took a breath and went, wow, that was such a day, beautiful people, beautiful messaging. And it really gave me confidence to go on to the next, to take this to another level, going, okay, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
We can do this. And so I give him credit. We still, every now and then we DM, but he's just a wonderful person. And so, yeah, I will say that was one that kind of, you talk about unlocking the metro, unlocking certain things for us. I mean, that interview and that day with Samuel, it unlocked a lot for me, for us to move forward. And
and in a minute, we're going to talk a little bit more about what being together 24/7 started to look like.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good time too to, say, and we've talked in different ways about this before as well, that part of this intentionality is being very aware of what is happening around you. And when we are in our busy lives and different things are moving and all the moving pieces, like sometimes all you can worry about is yourself and what is happening, and maybe your children, if you have children, and your partner maybe comes hopefully third in that. But like, I think this raises the level of where your partner's thoughts and feelings and fears come equally important to your own, where you're like, okay, I see you. I see this is difficult. I totally understand. I get you. And we made this choice and we're going to figure this out. And okay, how can we really make the best of what this particular location and situation is? And so just really raising the level of awareness of what is happening for the other person.
Right.
That doesn't always happen through conversation. I mean, it does much more often now for us, but like that doesn't always happen through conversation. It happens through like, I'm seeing you. I understand this is hard. and I see you want these interviews to be different. So what can we do instead? And how can we support and how can we do activities where you're not as worried about that? Or what can we do? So it's just really raises this um energetic level of reading each other and feeding off of each other. And so I feel like for you in moments where it was like, I totally see that this is challenging in that way. I'm trying to world school Everly. So like in moments where I'm like, yeah, I don't know about this, that you could sense, okay, well, you know what? Maybe you don't need to do that today. Maybe this isn't,
Yeah.
and we already talked about this in the other Portugal episodes. We won't get into it, but this is also where we shifted a little bit about what, schooling and world school meant to us too. And it's
Yeah.
about to really take a turn when we get to Thailand. So whole different thing. But
Yeah. We brought workbooks and all kinds of stuff that we talked about. We had a tutor every couple times a month that would join us online. One of Ev's former teachers would join us, and she was wonderful throughout the course of this. But you're right, things shifted and everything changed. We had this agenda of how we thought it was going to work.
Yeah.
And Portugal is one of those countries that said, okay, this is how it's going to work.
yeah. Yeah.
So it was a change. And two, and just this is my last note on this, is not only was it the interviewing challenging, it was equipment. I'm not a camera operator. I'm not an editor. I am now. I'm not great, but certainly learning all the equipment and the uploading and the editing, and it was all brand new. Everything was brand new in Portugal. And so, yeah, Portugal was a big leap for us. You ready to go?
Definitely.
We're ready to go to Greece, and Greece was cool because of the 9 countries that we visited on this trip. That was the one that we actually had been to Greece before,
Mhm.
been to Athens before. We actually went to Paros and Crete, and those are 2 islands that we had never been to before. But it was nice to go somewhere, at least start off somewhere that we were somewhat familiar.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of knowing it was islands and culturally, we had been very drawn to Greece always. So having some sort of thought around that, which we didn't have for other countries. But yeah, Greece, we felt like this is going to, be very welcoming and very good. And it was.
It was great. And I think too, I'm glad you brought up world schooling about Portugal, because what a tremendous environment it was in Athens to have. World schooling took a whole different turn
Yes.
because we're talking about Greek mythology and all
Yeah.
the monuments and the history
Yes.
there, of course, and everything, just the Greek gods, and we had a wonderful it was a group tour that turned into a private tour, and so many cool things though there that we're like, oh, this is the world schooling landscape that we were hoping Ev would see.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think Greece in general, just we've talked about this before. It was a low season, like an off season. Athens was not. You wouldn't know that there, but the other islands were quieter, and so we had just had this experience in Portugal where we're kind of like, what did we, okay, and we're adjusting, and then you get to Greece where you just need to get really quiet. So it was probably, though there were moments on the islands where we're like, oh, this is really quiet. This is very remote. But it was exactly what we needed, because after the stimulation of realizing what we'd done, what we're trying to figure out, then we had Greece that really offered to us like, just quiet down, and these answers will come. The way will show up in front of you. And I think Greece just sort of, and we just trusted in that there as well. We connected with people in a different way. I think we just sort of settled. So Portugal was like activating in a lot of ways, also offered so many amazing stories and beautiful experiences, but was heightened, active, the pull, again, all the words. And then we get to Greece and it's like, all right, breathe, slow down, take a hike, search for sea glass, be on the beach, explore, like a very quiet experience.
When you put out an energy too, our energy changed. And I've never really, I've believed in energy and putting out energy and getting what you put out, putting out and then opening yourself to receive.
Yeah.
I don't think I really ever experienced it like we did in Greece. Our energy changed for all the things that you just said. And
Yeah.
as a result, people kind of came to us.
Yeah.
And we met Caroline, and we spoke about her in the Grateful for Greece podcast.
Yeah.
But she was wonderful. She invited us, this incredible woman we met on the beach, energies aligned. She invited us to her house. We had, I guess, an early dinner, but she had olive trees. We made olives. It was just, everything was just wonderful that lined up there. And that was, those conversations, those relationships became a lot easier.
Yeah. 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 And it was because we became
easier. We became less stressed out, probably. Just let things come to us and just believe that it was going to happen.
Just believe. Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be who you are.
Yes. Well, and we've definitely reflected on this quite a bit, that if we, again, energies and how you're received, if we show up as curious and kind and willing to listen, then that is reflected back to you. And so we just became more open to that and an ease about, like, we just are curious about people. Like, that's all, that's what all this comes down to, is we're curious about other people. We're curious about what they enjoy and how we can be part of it and what that then opens up for us.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Love Greece. Thank you, Greece.
Thank you, Grace.
And then we were on to Croatia.
Croatia. And mind you, as Michelle mentioned moments ago about Greece, so this is the off season, and Croatia, we've had friends, and as before, as we're mapping this out in our heads, and by the way, we kind of mapped as we went. We had an idea of where we were going.
Yeah, we sort of knew these first three,
but we didn't for sure. And so, but obviously, we ended up going to Croatia, and Christmas markets were high on our list, and we love the holidays, and Croatia took it to a whole nother level. And I will say this, kind of, what did I learn from Croatia would be, the holidays aren't just a day. They're not just Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. The holidays it's a month. It's celebration every single night. And it is about what Christmas is about. They're very intentional about that with the Advent calendar that we experience, but also it's about family, and people were out every night, ice skating, walking, mulled wine, which I was introduced to, and just being with family. And it was like, what is this?
Yeah. It's like, for me here, when I think about it too, it's like sometimes where we are, there's so much effort to do something or go somewhere, and the prep and the getting there. And it felt like in Croatia, just especially because of where we were staying, it was like, just walk out your door and go down to the town square, and that's where everyone already is, and just be together. It wasn't like, okay, well, I'll host this, and so we'll get everything ready. And there, again, these are beautiful things everywhere you go. I'm sure there were lots of that happening for people who had their families there too. But this just provided a way to just be amongst other people who are celebrating and enjoying the season together in a public open space, and was just so easy to see what the true meaning of Christmas was, the holiday spirit. I think it just felt, less rushed and hustle and bustle and kind of those things. It was just reminding us of what tradition can look like.
Yeah. And I think too, again, not to get down to where we stayed, but we were intentional on, especially when we got to Dubrovnik, that we were 20-minute walk from the old city, and we were able to go down there and make it our night. Like, hey, the sun's set. Let's walk out our place. Let's walk down the street. Let's go to the old city. Let's walk around. Let's get a mulled wine. Let's get a hot dog for Everly. Let's see the lights, chestnuts roasting on an open fire. I mean, just the lights, the markets, the people. Being able to experience that on a daily basis was just, it really filled my emotion with the holiday spirit. There you go.
Enough said.
Enough
I'm
said.
just like, yes. Just
so
yes.
To put our cherry on top
spirit.
of the holiday spirit, we went to Malta. And again, broken record, we always wanted to go there to scuba dive.
I know, it's always funny, the reasons we wanted to go to some of these places, and then the reasons we were
Malta is an island where you could go from one end to the other in 30 minutes. It's small. It's beautiful, though. We actually stayed at a hotel, the Hilton, on this stay. And this is where we're going to spend Christmas. And I'll let you kind of start on this one.
Well, I think in terms of what Malta taught us, I think that it was, again, a deepening of what tradition can look like, and that again, I've said this a lot, what we've also reflected on is the experience of a holiday or a time together is about where you are and what you make of it. And it's not necessarily like home in that moment to us was the three of us being together, being in an environment full of hospitality, having a curious mind, wanting to explore and see this incredibly beautiful island, and also wanting to have some kind of tradition. And so being able to still incorporate the meaning of Christmas to us, a Christmas celebration, a Christmas tree, into a place that was our temporary home, our home in the moment, and realizing how you really can make that. You can make that choice that this is home in this moment.
Yeah. And I think you said it best, but it's not where you're at, it's who you're with. And that's what the holidays are about, at least to us.
Yeah.
And we're very fortunate to be in a incredibly beautiful place with, again, more Christmas markets and lights and music and, life-size nativity scenes. It was beautiful. And you mentioned the staff at the Hilton was awesome. And I think too, part of it is we're at this hotel during Christmas with a bunch of other families.
Yeah.
And we're all like, we're in this together, celebrating this together away from our normal
Well,
homes.
and that people do that.
And
We're
it's
like,
a thing.
oh,
Yeah.
people do that. We didn't know. And they just spend Christmas at home with your family, and which is amazing as well.
Right.
And also, other people do travel during this time and come together.
This opens up possibilities for the future for us. I'll just say that.
And also makes you so grateful for when you are, home and in community. That is what you've surrounded yourself with. That like being able to, again, just remember the meaning of this season, that this is about being grateful that you can be around family and be around friends. And it gets very commercialized. And of course it does. And we understand that. But really to peel back those layers of like, what is this about? And sometimes travel does that in all different kinds of ways, or new locations do that. So I think for me, it was a little bit of that, of just like, yes, this is what it's about. And when we're in other places, we act accordingly, right? And it's about rushing around, and the hustle and bustle is part of the season, and that can be fun, and you just do as you're supposed to do in that environment. And I think our curiosity is like, but what if we brought some of that environment back with us, where we don't rush around during the holidays, like
Yep.
we take it slow and we go look at lights and we choose wisely and we say yes to the things we want to say yes to, and we just rearrange how we want it to be so we can feel how we want it to feel.
Yeah. Exactly. And just being
Yes.
intentional, I think, is certainly the way to look at it. That being said, where are we off to next?
Well,
You need some
that's the-
takeaways?
yeah, some takeaways of Malta, or just
Just in
all the
general,
way around.
all the way around.
All the way around. Yeah. Yeah. What did, well, we kind of said what each of these locations taught us.
As we did, yes. Yeah, I think we dove into that as far as, yeah, exactly. I mean, Portugal had its own different, perspective to me because it was the beginning.
Yes.
And that had
Yeah.
a lot to do with how I felt
Yes.
and how I was reacting. Greece, things opened up based on energy, as we talked about, in relationships. Croatia was more of brought us into the holiday spirit, about family, being intentional with family. And then Malta was the importance of us three being together no matter where we were at.
It was a perfect way to lay the foundation of where we're heading next, because what we did not really know yet is that our next destination was going to offer something very different. But we'll get to that in a second, because first we do want to talk for a moment about, we've had lots of questions about what it was like to be together 24/7 and like how we adjusted to some of those dynamics, especially as Kent mentioned before, he was traveling quite a bit before we left on our journey. We both had like outwardly facing careers and events and broadcasting. And so the ability to be together, even in just calm, quiet times, just the three of us, was not always available to us, certainly not in this extreme degree. So I think what we wanted to explore a little, was there anything that surprised us about being together all the time like that?
It was relatively pleasant.
Relatively. Yeah. Was.
Depending on where we stayed, we tried to get at least 2 bedrooms if we could.
Usually, yeah.
But there were times when we found ourselves within the same room, at times in the same bed. But for the most part, we were, you know,
You mean the three of us, not just us?
3 of us
I was like,
in the same
yes,
bed.
we found ourselves.
Let's clarify that. Yes, I think it was. I never was really worried about it.
Yeah, that's cool.
I
That's
never was
nice.
really worried about it. Maybe because of that, it never really was.
Yeah.
It was nice for a change.
Yeah.
And let's put it that way. It's like it was something that didn't happen often for us. So the fact that it was happening, regardless of it being 24/7, it was nice for a change.
Mhm.
And we're incredibly lucky. Everly's easy and just she goes with it and she keeps herself occupied as well when needed.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was for the most part, it was great.
And yes, I completely agree. And what I would say about it, especially contained in the first 3 months, because the full realization of this, unfolds as we go. But in that first 3 months, exactly, like it felt extremely, it's like I had been craving it. So it actually was very nice because it fulfilled so many of the things that were not necessarily ideal when we were like filling the gaps in who's going to be where and how's this going to work. And there was just so much energy put towards how does the schedule work that now it was like, here we are all together and like playing games and having conversations and making meals together and then you can feed off the energy, talking about energetics. You kind of know where everyone's at. You learn to communicate in verbal and nonverbal ways that are extremely powerful. You learn to read your people in a whole different way. You've got travel thrown into that. So you've got to like have this flexibility that was very cool to see Everly embrace and attune to that and sharpen her skill set around that. So I think it was amazing. And we've got many more destinations to go. So we'll let you know if it kept being amazing. But it was.
Yeah, my final thought on that is listening to what you just said is number one is we were craving it. So, who knows if we were with each other 24/7 prior to going, if it would have been different, but I think it's like it wasn't a commonality in our family. So the fact that we were able to spend that kind of time together was great. Number two is we actually like each other. That's a good thing, right?
That's cool.
That's a cool thing. And number three is communication. You kind of touched on that. I think if you and your partner, especially if you have a disagreement or something is going wrong, and by the way, there's a lot of unknowns when you're traveling the way that we did, where you're planning as you go, you certainly have to have communication. But if something does go awry, you need to fix it quickly because you are there. There's nowhere to go. You are in and on it and together, and you need to make decisions. If something goes wrong, you got to fix it because you're going to have a really meaningful conversation about where you're going next. Rental cars, planes, Airbnbs, whatever it may be. You got to fix it and move on and do it well. And there's no sweeping under the rug because you're together again. You got to address, whatever it may be, and you move on. And that was something too that we learned to do better as we went.
It's like the new therapy. Just like go travel the world for a year.
Go lock yourself in a one bedroom in a foreign country and see how you do. All right. So there you go.
Okay. So looking ahead, as we pick back up on our journey of where we traveled, our next destination is Thailand. And many things change because there is different weather in Thailand. There's different sense of our intention. There's different sense of community. There's a different way to educate. A lot of things begin to shift, change, and open up that make us so grateful for the first 3 months, first 3 destinations, because they really provided the foundation to experience Thailand in a way that was absolutely magical.
And for the first time on this trip too, mind you, first part of October, and this would be, New Year's Eve, the end of December going to January, we actually for the first time integrated with other like-minded families. And that was a big shift for us to
You're giving away the plot.
That's all.
Don't.
That's
We're
all I'm
teasing
gonna
it
say.
just now.
Oh,
It's not.
but I am. That's all I'm going to say about it.
People already know that. If you've been following anything about us, you know that already.
I'm
so.
just saying, like-minded people. We get to see
That you're not-
like-minded people
That are not your own people.
that are not your own people. So there you go. Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we want to explore Thailand. And then, of course, we will keep inviting guests to come talk to us
Mhm.
that have inspirational stories around travel or doing something different, living life on their terms with intentionality. So that is our goal, to invite everyone in to experience that with us, hearing a little bit more about our journey, talking to other very cool people, and just keeping it going, the
And we
Frenchitivity.
hope this inspired other people too to have conversations surrounding your family and where you're at, and if things are okay, and if not, maybe things that you could do to add to that fulfillment bucket, if you will. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and don't forget, you can catch us on the Frenchitivity YouTube channel. Also, we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So we hope that this conversation inspired you, and we look forward to seeing you next time. We promise we are actually going to go to Thailand.
The land of smiles. Let's go.
Let's go. See you there.
Frenchitivity all over the world.